Okay, so today we're going to make the woven shorts, and you could do the attached skirt that goes over it for the bathing suit bottoms. So you're going to need 2 fronts, 2 backs, a waistband, and 2 of the skirt pieces. Okay, I wanted to talk to you about, this is the paper pattern piece for the shorts. So if you're going to be making shorts, then go ahead and cut it out just the way it is. If you're making the shorts for the bathing suit, you want short shorts. So we're going to fold up that first line and then cut this out so that when we hem these up like this, we'll have very short shorts, which will look like bathing suit bottoms. So I did cut mine so that they will be short shorts, not regular shorts. Regular shorts will look like this. Okay, these are not hemmed yet, but when you fold them up, they will still look like shorts, as where the bathing suit bottoms will look like that. Okay, so they'll be very short. Put the shorts right sides together, the front and the back, and we're going to sew up the center seams on both the front and the back, and then we'll finish the edge. And you can finish the edge by serger, zigzag stitch, or overcast stitch on a regular sewing machine. Okay, so those are sewn, the front and the back. Okay, and the back is longer, has a longer back seam. So if you're going to get them mixed up, you might want to just cut a little piece of ribbon. Pin it to the back so you remember what's the back and which is the front. Okay, so now we're going to put these right sides together, and we're going to sew the side seams. Alright, I'm going to serge mine. So we're going to sew up both sides. Okay, so those are sewn on the sides. And the next step is going to be to line up the front and back crotch and sew straight across. Is to turn up your hem for your shorts. While I was at the serger sewing the bottom, I also serged the bottom of the hem. Alright, so if you don't have a serger, you could just fold under an eighth and then fold it up again, so you have a 1/4 inch seam there. Now you're going to stitch all the way around, and you're going to do the same exact thing for this side. Okay, if you have it serged, you could just turn it up, and if you don't have it serged, you could turn it up 1/8 of an inch and then turn it up another 1/8 of an inch, so your whole hem is going to be 1/4 of an inch. And that's if you cut it for the bathing suit. If you cut it for the shorts, you're going to have a 1/2 an inch hem. So now you're just going to hem the legs. And I still have my pin back here to mark the back. So the next step is we are going to add the overskirt. Now if you're not going to add the overskirt to these, you can skip this part. Okay, so now we're going to do the overskirt for the shorts. So you need to cut 2 pieces on the fold. Okay, and then you're going to put them together and sew a side seam. Okay, so we're just going to make one big long piece for the overskirt. So we're just going to sew a side seam right up the side. Alright, so once you've got that sewn, you want to just press that seam to one side or the other. It doesn't really matter. And the next step is going to be to finish this edge along the bottom of the skirt. And then after you do that, you're going to turn it up 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so once you finish the edge, you're going to turn it up 1/4 of an inch, give it a press, and then stitch the seam all the way around. Okay, so we have it all hemmed. So the next step is going to be to gather up this long edge of the skirt. Okay, so set your sewing machine on the longest stitch that it will do, and just almost like baste a long stitch from this end all the way to this end, and then we're going to pull them and we will gather it to fit the shorts. Okay, so once you've run your stitch, you want to separate the thread with the bobbin thread, and you're going to pull the bobbin thread to gather your skirt. And you're just going to push the gathers down and just keep going until the entire skirt is gathered. Okay, so your skirt, you want to gather it until it's 13 inches long from this end to this end. And then you're going to bring this end over to this end. And you're going to stitch down this open edge. Okay, and you can finish the edge after you stitch it down. Okay, so now you should have a circle, and we are going to fit this to the top of the shorts. These seams that we sewed are going to match up on the side seams of the shorts. Okay, so, and it's going to be wrong side of the skirt to the right side of shorts. Alright, so we're just going to get that and seam, and we're going to match it to the side of shorts. And then on this one, we're going to match the other side to the other seam, which is right here. And now you're just going to keep pinning around the shorts. And try to make sure that your gathers are relatively even all the way around. this is what it looks like. And now you're going to take your waistband and we're going to sew the two short ends together. Alright. And then we're going to add it to the shorts. Okay, so we have a loop. We're going to now add that to the shorts and the skirt. So you want the right side of the waistband against the right side of the skirt. Okay. So now you're going to stitch the waistband and the skirt to the shorts all the way around. Okay, so once you have that sewn to the skirt and you've pulled out all your pins, and make sure you have all the pins out because they're real easy to hide inside these. See, there's one. Inside of these, here's another one. All these ruffles, gathers. Okay, so once you have that all done, you're going to finish the top edge of your waistband. Alright, and then you're going to fold it over to the inside. And pin. Okay, so we've got it all pinned inside. I'm going to go sew the waistband on the inside, and don't forget to leave a space open so you can get elastic in there, which we will close after we get the elastic in. You're going to slide a piece of elastic where you left the opening all the way through the waistband. Now these are 13 inches and I made them 13 inches because some of these dolls have 11-inch waistline, some have 12 and a half, so this should fit all the dolls. So you want to cut a piece of elastic that's I'd say half an inch shorter than your doll's waist. So if your doll's waist is 11 inches, cut a 10.5 piece of elastic. If your doll's 12 inches, 11.5. If it's 12.5, cut 12. And that way it should fit all the different stuffings of the dolls. Okay, so we're just going to thread this through. Now I'm just using a safety pin. Okay, so when your elastic gets all the way through and you get back to where you started, you're going to overlap. Make sure you don't twist them, these pieces of elastic. And you can either go sew this on the machine or you could do it by hand, but you're going to sew these two pieces of elastic together. And if you're doing it by hand, make sure you go over it several times so that it's really sturdy. Try to get it to focus. Alright, so I am going to go do that on the machine and I will be right back. Okay, so after you sew it, you want to pull it and make sure it's pretty, on there pretty good. Then you're just going to bring it inside, and now you're going to stitch up this little opening. So you can either do it by hand or you can do it on the machine. I'm going to just do it on the machine, so I'll be right back.